soldiers. A lot of people have been killed in the cities. They look like demolition sites. Buildings, massive buildings bombed and coming down. The thing with Ukraine is that many more people died than you're reporting. You're not reporting the real numbers. And I'm not blaming you for that. I'm blaming maybe our government for not wanting to release those numbers. Many more people died than what you know about. When those big buildings come down and they say 2 people were injured, no. Many people, thousands of people are being killed. But the real killing now is on the war front. It's a very flat land. And the only thing that stops a bullet is somebody's body. And you have young soldiers. So Russia's lost about 800,000 soldiers now. Ukraine's lost about 600 or 700,000. I think the numbers are low that they're giving out. But they've lost massive numbers of young soldiers. And that war should stop. It's very flat, it's beautiful farmland, and it's flat and really beautiful in a different kind of way, but they don't have any protection. The only thing that stops a bullet is a body, and those bodies are stopping a lot of bullets, and they're being decimated, both sides.
In your conversation with President Xi, what did you tell him in terms of when you expect tariffs, and what can he do to avoid it?
About which one? About tariffs. We didn't talk too much about tariffs, other than he knows where I stand. Look, I put large tariffs on China. I've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. Until I was president, China never paid not 10 cents to the United States. With me, they paid hundreds of $600 billion or so, or more than that even, of tariffs. And if I didn't do that, you wouldn't have a steel mill open in the United States right now. You wouldn't have one steel mill open in the United States. So what I did is I saved the steel industry. I saved other industries too with other tariffs. Other countries are big abusers also. It's not just China. China's an abuser, but the European Union is very, very bad to us. They treat us very, very badly. They don't take our cars. They don't take our cars at all. They don't take our farm products, essentially. They don't take very much. We have a $350 billion deficit with the European Union. They treat us very, very badly. So they're going to be in for tariffs. It's the only way you're going to get back. It's the only way you're going to get fairness. You can't get fairness unless you do that. But the European Union's treated us very badly. But essentially everybody treats us badly. Everybody treats us badly. Yes, go ahead. Because we allow them to. Because we've had stupid people doing this, and we can't have. I'd like to have these 3 people negotiate for us, just for 1 week, and we'd be a rich country again. But we'll be rich.
Mr. President, on AI data centers, will you rescind President Biden's executive order that opens up federal land?
On which centers?
On data centers. Will you rescind President Biden's executive order that opens up federal lands for data centers and energy production?
No, I wouldn't do that. That sounds to me like it's something that I would like. I'd like to see federal lands opened up for data centers. I think they're going to be very important. Again, we have a lot of competition for that. So it's an honor to have these 3 great people, great CEOs and great geniuses, all 3. It's an honor that they want to come to our country, but we're going to make it as easy as we can for them because other countries want them to. I'm going to have to go now. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
President Donald J. Trump talking for about 55 minutes there, the 47th president, in the first full day in the Oval Office, announcing a project called the Stargate Project. Let's listen and hold on.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Missed that as he's heading to the Oval Office with these 3 executives. We're going to talk to all 3 of those men here on the show about a $500 billion project for infrastructure in artificial intelligence being built in the U.S. over the next 4 years. Good evening. I'm Brett Baer for a special report reporting tonight from the White House on this, the first full day of President Trump's second term. The president's shaking things up at the border, a look at how his new immigration policy is already having an impact. The president's nominee for Pentagon chief is facing some new allegations tonight that Democratic senators are jumping on. We'll lay out those allegations and the pushback. Meantime, his pick for Secretary of State receives unanimous Senate confirmation and gets ready for some big changes at the State Department. President Trump already making some big moves. As we just said, he announced this partnership with tech leaders to invest tens of billions of dollars in artificial intelligence infrastructure inside the U.S. Again, we'll talk to those gentlemen in just a minute, live here on Special Report. The president also revealing moments ago what could be next, saying he's met with the owners of TikTok and that he is also open to Elon Musk buying the social media platform. President Trump also teasing another executive order on California's water supply. Earlier in the day, he huddled with Republican congressional leaders, eager to proceed with his legislative agenda up on Capitol Hill. Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy starts us off tonight, just down the row here. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Brett. President Trump says this is his first day back after having a very nice life. And the newsiest part was this announcement from Oracle, OpenAI, and SoftBank that they're going to spend $500 million on data centers, AI data centers, beginning in Texas. And these things could be the cure to, could be part of the cure for cancer.
It's the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history.
The joint data center project is called Stargate.
I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease.
President Trump hosted Republican lawmakers at the White House today.
He's going to wear us out. He's going to wear us out.
And the new president's team is teasing new tariffs.
In our view, tariffs are tax cuts.
Coming as soon as February 1st.
We're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people.
A plan is also taking shape to confront Chinese influence in this hemisphere.
China controls the Panama Canal. And we're not going to allow that to happen.
President Trump and Vice President Vance attended a prayer service this morning and wound up getting an earful from the Reverend.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives.
Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no.
The first press briefing of the new administration will happen at a time to be named later.
I might bring some notes with me, but my binder is in my brain because I know President Trump's policies and we have truth on our side at this White House.
The new president picked up where he left off with a lengthy Oval Office Q&A that included the dramatic reveal of a letter from former President Biden.
Don't they leave it in the desk? I don't know. Oh.
What's in there?
Thank you, Peter. It could have been years before we got it. Wow. Thank you.
And he just told us a few minutes ago that he did finally open the envelope, and it was an inspirational letter with Biden telling him that he hopes he does a good job. The president also revealed a few minutes ago that on Friday he's going to travel to western North Carolina, which he says was abandoned by the Biden administration after Hurricane Helene. He is then going to go and tour wildfire damage in Los Angeles. And he's telling us that he thinks tying wildfire relief to a spending bill that's packed with his other priorities is a good way to get Democrats to back it, right?
You know, Peter, as this transition has happened, the first full day, you've made a transition from covering the Biden administration to the Trump administration part 2. He has taken more questions in 24 hours, arguably, than President Biden took in the last year. Is that fair?
That is a very fair, if not more questions, then the same amount or close. And it's just a completely different feeling. Anytime that we would go into the Oval Office, for example, like I was for almost an hour last night with President Biden, the staff would be in such a hurry to get us out. And President Biden would just smile, and there were people yelling. They didn't want him off script. They wanted him telling us whatever was on a note card that they had printed for him. Whereas last night, President Trump seemed willing to talk about anything. You could have asked him stuff from the news page, the gossip page, the sports page. He wants to put his fingerprints on everything, and his staff seemed like they were happy just to sit back and let it happen, right?
Did it again this afternoon, taken live here on Fox. Peter, thank you. One of the first items for the U.S. Senate in this new era is to confirm President Trump's cabinet selections. The first such move done last night with Marco Rubio sworn in as Secretary of State. Tonight there is a new issue with another one of the president's national security nominees. Senior national correspondent Aisha Hasni tells us where things stand tonight from Capitol Hill.
It was an excellent meeting.
Tonight, new allegations against President Trump's defense secretary nominee, Pete Hegseth. Fox News obtained an affidavit from Danielle Hegseth, who was formerly married to Pete Hegseth's brother, alleging that Trump's pick for the top job at the Pentagon is erratic and volatile and has an alcohol abuse problem, and that his ex-wife, Samantha, feared for her safety. Hegseth denied similar claims at his hearing last week.
Did you ever engage in any acts of physical violence against any of your wives? Senator, absolutely not.
On the new allegations, his lawyer says Sam has never alleged that there was any abuse. She signed court documents acknowledging that there was no abuse and recently reaffirmed the same during her FBI interview. And Samantha Hegseth told NBC, "I do not have representatives speaking on my behalf. I do not believe your information to be accurate. There was no physical abuse in my marriage." The Senate Armed Services Committee is now taking a look at the document, but it's unclear if it jeopardizes any Republican votes.
I hope my Republican colleagues will review these allegations, consider them before the vote.
Also today, Trump's Secretary of State nominee Marco Rubio was sworn into office.
Congratulations, Mr. Secretary.
But some Senate Republicans are frustrated. More haven't been confirmed.
Here's what's ridiculous. Under Obama, he got 7 done the first day.
Monday night, 3 nominees are voted out of committee, setting them up for a full floor vote. And Trump's pick for UN ambassador, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, had her hearing today. But the president's controversial picks to lead national intelligence and health and human services don't even have hearings scheduled yet.
Too many have troubling backgrounds. Too many seem unprepared for the job, and prove so during testimony.
And Brett, Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi will be getting her committee vote next Wednesday. It's the same day that FBI Director nominee Kash Patel will officially finally get his confirmation hearing. Things are actually getting very tense on the Senate floor right now. Brett, we were expecting John Ratcliffe for CIA Director to get a vote tonight, but Democrats are delaying that right now. And GOP leader John Thune just told Fox News that he believes that the Senate will be in session this weekend to be able to process these nominations because of these delay tactics. Brett.
It's interesting. We'll follow all of that. Aisha Hasni live on the Hill. Aisha, thank you. President Trump is criticizing the last-minute preemptive pardons by his predecessor as a bad precedent. The new president has issued about 1,500 pardons of his own, covering the 2021 Capitol riot participants, which has sparked its own criticism here in Washington. Correspondent David Spun is at the Justice Department with that tonight.
At least the cases that we looked at, these were people that actually love our country, so we thought a pardon would be appropriate.
President Trump late today defending his decision to pardon some 1,500 people charged and convicted with storming the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. The president also
and I'm glad he did it.
Of
they
14,
deserve to be pardoned.
Including leaders of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. And he may go a step further.
Maybe it'll stay that way, or it'll go to in a full pardon.
Stuart Rhodes, released overnight. The former Oath Keepers leader was serving 18 years for seditious conspiracy.
President Trump did the right thing by letting these guys out and pardoning them because they did not get a fair trial.
Trump's sweeping pardon undoes the largest prosecution in DOJ history and includes those who physically attacked police officers. Earlier this month, Trump's vice president and attorney general nominee said this.
If you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned.
I condemn any violence on a law enforcement officer in this country.
In the final 20 minutes of his administration, then President Joe Biden announced preemptive pardons for several family members, brothers Frank and James, sister Valerie, and their 2 spouses. Pardon for any nonviolent offense going back to 2014. General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and members of the January 6th committee, including former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, also pardoned. In 2020, Biden had a different take on preemptive pardons.
It concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent it sets. You're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons.
But you do it. You did it.
Novel pardons apply to people who've not been charged with federal crimes. In the meantime, it does set some sort of precedent, though there is precedent. President Gerald Ford pardoned his predecessor, former President Richard Nixon, following Watergate. But the question now that former President Biden did so, it sets it wide open in the future for President Trump to possibly do the same. Brett?
David, you're at the Justice Department tonight, and you're learning about career officials at DOJ who are expected to stay in their posts. They've been removed now. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, several, Brett, at least a handful of top career officials in the criminal division and the national security division who have worked at DOJ for years. They've been reassigned. Firing or getting rid of a career servant at the Justice Department is not that easy, but reassigning them is something that can happen much quicker. I'm told more could also be on the way. Brett.
David Spohn at the Justice Department. David, thanks. Coming up here at the White House, we talk with the three executives joining forces with President Trump's new artificial intelligence infrastructure project right here, live at the White House.
At Harbor Freight, we do business differently from the other guys. We design and test our own tools and sell them directly to you. No middleman, just quality tools you can trust at prices you'll love.
With Fast Signs, create factory-grade visual solutions to perfect your process.
It's exciting. I heard what you made, the comments you made inside. First, let me talk to you, Sam, about what this means for AI in the future for the U.S. investment here.
This means we can create AI and AGI in the United States of America. Wouldn't have been obvious that this was possible. I think if a different president it might not have been possible, but we are thrilled to get to do this, and I think it'll be great for Americans, great for the whole world.
And Masa, you said that this is the golden age. You used President Trump's phrase. Why is it this administration that can do it, do you think?
Because we can make deal happen. You know, it's all energized. And approval come much faster, much bigger, and more meaningful way.
Larry, you talked about what can come out of this as far as healthcare and other things. People are starting to get their head around AI, but not fully.
Well, when you go to the hospital these days, if you're using a modern system, using a modern system, the doctor will get a little note written by AI describing what the purpose of the appointment, and then that note will have your latest lab tests and your and before, so the doctor's prepared when they meet with the patient. The AI will actually listen to the conversation between the doctor and the patient and make recommendations and improve the likelihood that the patient's going to get a high quality of care. It's easier for the doctor, it's better outcomes for the patient. It's really a revolution in medicine, but it's a revolution in many other industries as well. Medicine just touches us all.
Sam, for the people who are concerned about AI on either the work and job front or just it's scary, what do you say to them that there are rails to make sure that it doesn't go out of bounds?
Yeah, there are hundreds of millions of people using these tools today. It'll go to billions. People are using it and really dependent on it for all sorts of great things in their lives. Like any new technology, we do have to put some rails on it. You can imagine ways it could go wrong, but if you look at the safety record, what we've been able to ship so far, what I think we'll be able to do in the future, the benefits of this tremendously outweigh the downsides. We have to be responsible how we do this. We have to build it carefully. But I think people are really good. People will do, on balance, incredible things with this technology. The scale of this investment, obviously, is huge. And what I think that says about the likely progress of the technology, at least what all of us believe, is correspondingly huge. But I have enormous faith we'll figure it out.
And the first one in Texas?
First one in Texas. Already going.
Yes.
And that's a big project. Masa, I want to ask you about money and public-private partnerships. Before President Biden left in his farewell address, he expressed concern or warnings over an oligarchy, the fact that guys with a lot of money would have a lot of influence on policy. You guys obviously have a lot of money, but you're putting it together with President Trump. How do you respond to that criticism about big money and its influence in U.S. government?
Well, for the better humanity of our future, we need big capital to invest into the project. You know, we cannot do it with the small money. We have to do the big investment for the good of humanity.
And it creates jobs.
Yeah, create lots of jobs.
Larry, why on this day one do you think you decided to do this? And I assume you've been working on it for a long time.
We have been working on it for a long time. The first data centers are actually under construction in Texas already, and we'll be turning them over to Sam to start training their next model. The data center we already built, it was the largest computer ever built. The data center we're building will surpass it and be the largest computer ever built, which enables this AI, which will allow personalized medicine. This is going to touch all of us. Yes, it takes a huge investment, but the result of the investment will be vaccines that prevent cancers, personalized medicine, where we never again run into a problem like COVID-19 before, because we get an early warning. We know when COVID starts, when there are a handful of patients, rather than having to wait until it's become an epidemic and very difficult to control. This is a very large investment that affects all of humanity.
Can I ask the three of you just really quickly to get a sense of where you see the economy? There seems to be this optimism, or like the yoke is being released as far as regulation and business to flourish. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? How do you see it?
I think so. This is the beginning of golden age. You know, America will be great again.
You're using the president's words.
Yes.
You said you were going to invest, $100 billion. He said, "Come back with $200 billion."
The thing about Musk is you can always negotiate him up.
You can always get him up. Now you're $500 billion.
Yes.
And you think more's coming?
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you for standing out in the cold. We look forward to seeing what you all produce. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Come back to the White House. We'll take you to the State Department as well. The first day over with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Last night as the Secretary of State. Big changes expected at Foggy Bottom. Senior national correspondent Rich Edson is at the State Department tonight.
The yeas are 99. The nays are 0.
After a unanimous Senate confirmation on Inauguration Day, Secretary of State Marco Rubio introduced himself this morning to department employees.
My sincerest hope and my prayer is that we will, as a nation, be able to leave the future generation with a country and a planet safer and better than the one that was left for us.
Hours earlier, Rubio took the oath of office and then spoke in 2 languages.
Y es un gran honor y le doy las gracias al presidente Trump por esta oportunidad. I just said I saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. That's what I said. So.
Getting to work already, Rubio met today with the foreign ministers of Japan, India, and Australia, the so-called Quad. It's a group designed largely to counter China. Fox first reported last week that the transition immediately moved dozens of Trump-allied officials into key operational roles here at the State Department. Officials say scores of senior career diplomats stepped aside after receiving instructions to do so. Before Inauguration Day, Trump transition officials told Fox News they wanted to ensure Rubio had a staff ready to enact Trump's foreign policy agenda from the outset.
We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer.
Also out, an architect of the Iran maximum pressure campaign in the first Trump administration, and the official in charge of the State Department transition for the second administration, Brian Hook. Just after midnight, Trump posted that he was dismissing Hook, quote, from the Wilson Center for Scholars, "You're fired." For Rubio, much of his focus here at the State Department will likely be on China. During his confirmation hearing last week before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Rubio called China a potent and dangerous adversary. Brett?
Rich Edson, live at the State Department. Rich, thank you. There will be major changes at the Pentagon and in Pentagon policy under President Trump. After his first day, active duty troops are being ordered to the southern border, which was expected. And the head of the Coast Guard has been fired, which was not. Here's Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin.
Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Linda Fagan was relieved of duty by President Trump's acting Homeland Security Secretary due to a failure to address border security threats and an excessive focus on DEI. Fagan was the first woman to lead any branch of the U.S. military. The Pentagon is now accelerating deployment orders after President Trump ordered active duty troops to the border.
The cartels are now going to be seen as foreign terror organizations. Would you think about ordering U.S. Special Forces into Mexico to take them out?
Could happen. Stranger things have happened.
Trump has not ruled out using the military to reclaim the Panama Canal.
China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama.
Panama's president pushed back, Quote, I must reject in its entirety the words expressed by President Donald Trump. There is no presence of any nation in the world that interferes with our administration. President Trump removed former Joint Chiefs Chairman General Mark Milley from DHS's National Infrastructure Advisory Council today. General Milley was appointed by President Trump in 2019, but numerous books have detailed Milley's private criticism of President Trump. With no explanation, General Milley's new portrait as the 20th chairman of the Joint Chiefs was removed Monday from the hallway, where it was unveiled 11 days ago. This morning, maintenance workers were busy taking the hooks off the wall that held the portrait and painting over the holes.
We asked them who gave the orders for them to do that, and they said it was above their pay grade. But one worker told us they were, quote, told to make it look like the portrait was never there. Brent?
Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Jennifer, thanks. Up next, President Trump's sweeping actions on immigration, and later the panel on the first full day of the new Trump administration and what's ahead as we come back here live to the White House.